Welcome to the Pitch Clock. Here's the pitch, a two-part baseball segment
combining a nostalgic baseball trivia game and an interview with an expert.
This is the Pitch Clock. Is this the final episode of Pitch Clock?
Oh, I hope not.
I think this might be the final episode of Pitch Clock for the Major League Baseball season, as we're here with porn lover Chris.
Hey, it's me.
The viral sensation on the internet. Taylor as well. We'll have Adnan Virk as our expert later in this episode. But we're going to get right to Taylor's trivia. Taylor, what do you got for me and porn lover Chris today?
This is a simple game. Today's game is called Yankee, Dodger, Both or Neither. A trip down memory lane. I've gathered 21 names from the 90s and the 2000s. You have to tell me were they a Yankee, a Dodger, both or neither, and then we'll alternate between Jeremy and Chris.
This is great. I like this idea a lot. Chris, I'll give you the first at bat here. So, Taylor, fire off a name.
Raul Mondesi.
Okay. Raul Mondesi was both.
Raul Mondesi was both.
Wow, all right.
I knew he was a Dodger, but I was just like, feels like he played it as with the Yankees.
That was my exact concern. All right, Taylor, who's up?
Freddie Garcia, Jeremy.
I'm going to say Freddie Garcia was a Yankee.
Freddie Garcia was just a Yankee in 11 and 12.
All right.
Chris, Gary Sheffield.
That's easy. Both.
Gary Sheffield was both.
Gary Sheffield was.
Jeremy, Juan Pierre.
Juan Pierre was neither.
Can I steal? He was a Dodger.
No
He was a Dodger?
No
He was a
steal.
He was never a Yankee.
Just a Dodger.
Damn it. I knew that he was a Cub at one point. I knew that. Oh, my God, what a nightmare. All right, one strike for me. Chris, you're back up.
I'm riding this porn thing.
Chris Cote, Scott Rowland.
Neither.
Neither.
Damn.
That is correct.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I feel like Chris has gotten an easier draw. I'm just saying. And now we bring in our Major League Baseball expert, Adnan Virk, after the Dodgers have won the World Series in 5 games. It is worth noting for the audio and video audience. Our producer, Taylor, when doing our trivia game, let's be real, we taped that a couple of days ago. That Taylor did not know what modern-day Taylor now knows, which is the Yankees collapsed in Game 5 and ended up blowing a 5-0 lead. Adnan, this series ends without Ohtani doing all that much, with Judge doing very little, and yet a couple of classic games, incredible moments, some of the best individual performances we've ever seen in the World Series. This ends up being a great 5-game series. You're our MLB expert for real. What are your immediate takeaways from the Dodgers win in 5?
I guess my immediate takeaway as you and I sit here today is just I'm shocked at that Yankee collapse last night.
Yep.
I really thought 5-0 lead, Garrett Cole, you take this to the house. And again, I don't think they'd have enough juice to win Game 6 and Game 7 on the road. I don't think they'd be the first-year team to come down from 0-3 in the World Series. But to lose a game like that in that fashion is nothing short of shocking. And it's funny because if you don't know what happened, you just see, Garrett Cole's 7 innings, 5 runs. You go, okay, so I guess he was shaky, worked through it. No, he was unbelievable. 108 pitches was great. It was just one terrible inning and absolutely sloppy and inexcusable play by the Yankees. Aaron Judge, as you said, had a very disappointing playoffs. There's no question about it. When you look at it, I love the guy. He's one of my favorite players. He's a class act. He's great to fans, the media, etc. But he's a 2-time MVP. He's a Rookie of the Year. He's a 6-time All-Star who is not a good playoff performer, period. And he did not play well in the World Series, period. And yesterday, finally hits his first home run, which was massive in the World Series.
Yeah.
But that drop ball was awesome. That started the comedy of errors for the Yankees. Took his eye off the ball. You got to make that catch. Volpe, who's great, but that's a terrible play to Chisholm. And then Cole not covering first. Or you want to blame Rizzo for not running to the bag. Just unbelievable mental lapses by the Yankees. Later on, Weaver, who just like he was running on fumes, the fact that he has 3rd disengagement, that's a balk.
Yep.
Wells, catcher's interference, but as you mentioned, Ohtani did nothing. He was 2 for 19. Like, he's an easy out at this point. He's clearly hurt. And Wells, a catcher's interference, getting him first base. It's just awful mistakes by the Yankees. To lose a game like that's got to be incredibly frustrating. So I think in a big picture, you go, well, the Yankees a year ago missed the playoffs, and this year they made the World Series for the first time in 15 years. Is that not a success? I suppose. And again, they were the underdogs going into this World Series. But to lose a game in that fashion has to sting.
The Dodgers become the first team in MLB postseason history to overcome a 5-run deficit, lose that lead, and then still win the game in the postseason, and it's to win the World Series. That's the comedy of errors that the Yankees had last night, and there were a couple of decisions that Aaron Boone had to make, and the main one being Gerrit Cole. So Gerrit Cole comes out of the game with a runner on after walking Freddie Freeman, 6 2/3, 108 pitches. Now, what was the most maybe impressive part of Gerrit Cole's entire start is the fact that he was able to persevere through what had been a monstrous 5th inning where he was on the mound for, over 18 minutes of real time. He comes back and looked just as dominant, facing Freddie Freeman, puts him on, and then there's the decision by Boone to take Gerrit Cole out of the game. Adnan, I know Yankees fans are crushing Boone. They were going to have to find something to crush. What are your thoughts on taking out your ace, who was still looking like he had it, even if he's 108 pitches in?
I think it was the right decision because honestly, it's not just 108 pitches, but high leverage pitches, Jeremy, like that inning that you referenced. I mean, John Smoltz said afterwards, he said that's one of the most incredible things he's ever seen, that Cole persevered through that inning, relinquished a 5-0 lead, and it still was so solid in the 6th and the 7th. But I don't think there's any doubt that it takes a toll. And I think if there's one thing, again, to encapsulate this Dodgers World Series run, I think of relentless and I think of persistent. And I specifically think of that lineup. Every time watching a World Series game, you could never really take a breath because the second you'd go, okay, well, that's Teoscar now. Okay, well, Teoscar can always do damage. And he did last night. Massive hit, which is what tied the game. Oh, Tommy Edman. Well, he was the NLCS MVP. Max Muncy, he can get a big hit. Okay, Kike Hernandez, playoff performer.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you go, wait, and now we got to face the gauntlet. Now it's Ohtani, Betts, Freeman. Good night, good luck. So it was really tough every time watching this Dodger lineup because you never knew when you could take a breath. So to your point, when Mookie reaches first and all of a sudden now you got to face Freeman, Cole gives up a base hit, which again, Freeman, we haven't even gotten him yet, but we're going to talk about World Series for the ages. I mean, that base hit, again, who else comes through? Freddie Freeman made a 5-3 game, and then Teoscar made a 5-all. I just think those were high leverage pitches. And again, it's really taxing on Cole. The one thing I'll point out, and again, it doesn't matter because the Yankees won that game 4, but a friend of mine said, what about Cole pitching games 1, 4, and 7? And I said, that's an interesting thought, like old school ace. You pay him $324 million for moments like this, and he only threw 88 pitches in game 1. So I guess to that point, I do understand Yankee fans saying, listen, 120 pitches, 130, who cares? Wait till his arm falls off.
Right.
But honestly, I was surprised in some ways that Booney even brought him out for the 6 because at that point it was high 80 pitches. And as you said, 18-minute inning, I'm like, I think he might be out of gas. So to be honest, I never thought to myself last night saying, wow, I can't believe you took him out for 6 2/3. I was like, wow, I'm amazed that Cole was able to persevere. 6 2/3 is a lot from your ace. And again, not a single earned run. If you look at his postseason ERA coming in, he's a 2.88 postseason ERA guy. He's always been a big game pitcher, and he still is, even if he couldn't get the win last night.
Who's my next name, Taylor?
Former Marlin, Pudge Rodriguez.
Pudge Rodriguez was neither.
Correct.
Pudge was a Yankee in 2008.
Oh, wow.
What?
I would have got that one wrong.
Pudge was a Yankee in 08.
Jose Canseco.
Either.
He was a Yankee.
All right, I knew that he had to play for one of them. All right,
Damn.
Canseco was a Yankee.
I kind of knew that. I guess.
I'd love to see him in those pinstripes. All right, that's good news. All right, let me see if I can get going. Taylor, what's the next name?
Russell Martin.
Russell Martin played for both.
Russell Martin did play for both. Made all-star teams for both.
Yeah, he was, man, Russell Martin, underrated player.
Chris Cote. Delino DeShields.
I'm going to go both.
He was a Dodger.
Now I'm feeling good.
Jeremy. Sammy Sosa.
Oh, boy. Sammy Sosa.
My mind's telling me both,
My mind's telling
but
me.
my body's.
He could have been a Dodger. He wasn't a Yankee.
My mind's telling me Dodger.
I remember.
Hey GQ,
the
stop making
Orioles
faces.
at the end. I'm gonna say neither.
Neither is correct. All
That's
tied.
why I said my mind's telling me both.
Let's go.
Chris Cote.
Yes.
Andrew Jones.
Neither.
Incorrect. It was both.
Really? Both?
Both.
Taylor, please. The next name.
Jeff Weaver.
Jeff Weaver played for both.
Jeff Weaver did play for both.
Yeah, I can picture him in both uniforms. Easy.
Robin Ventura.
Both.
That's a both for sure.
Both.
Yeah, I shouldn't
Both
have.
is correct.
Did you see me nod my head?
I knew that one was
yeah, that was an easy one. All right. Next name, Taylor.
Barry Larkin.
My mind's telling me one.
I'm going to say he was a Dodger.
He was neither.
My body.
This is your fault. Damn it. Let's shift the focus from the Yankees now back to the Dodgers. They're actually the World Series champions. It's their first full season World Series in quite some time. I know that's very validating for a lot of the players over there, obviously for Dave Roberts. What does this mean to this Dodgers franchise that went out and spent $700 million to go get Ohtani, and in the very first year of him being a Los Angeles Dodger, he not only breaks a bunch of records, but they win the World Series despite his, mediocre at best performance?
Yeah, I think it's great for baseball, first and foremost, Jeremy, because the LA Dodgers are a signature franchise, they're an iconic team, and there's many people, myself included, who said, yeah, they won the World Series in 2020, but it was a bit of a fugazi. Like, let's be honest. That was in the COVID-shortened season. No fans. Like, is it a World Series? Yeah, and I'm not saying it's illegitimate, but at the same time, it wasn't a true World Series over the course of a season, wear and tear since 1988. So you've had some notorious flameouts these last few seasons. Like, the LA Dodgers had something to prove. There's no question about it. They had to come into this year and say, no, we can win a World Series and we'll spend the money for Ohtani. We'll make it happen. $700 million for a DH who has a season for the ages. But as you said, if I'm going to criticize Judge and say he was a disappointment come playoff time, so was Ohtani. I mean, in the DS, didn't do much. LCS was awesome. Could have won MVP. Yeah. World Series didn't do anything, but probably was hurt to a much greater degree than we realized.
Absolutely.
But this is a guy who normally has like 1,000 OPS. I think for the postseason, he was 800. So he was disappointing by his high standards. Still effective, still had his moments, but we were kind of waiting for that signature Ohtani moment, right? Some big home run, that's why I said the catcher's interference was like the big moment. Like, here we go. Ohtani has his World Series moment. It didn't happen. But I think for the Dodgers, they needed this one. Quite honestly, it's their first true World Series for their fan base. They can say, hey, we did it. And honestly, 98 wins. They were the best team in baseball. They did it without Tyler Glasnow being hurt down the stretch. They did it without Clayton Kershaw. I'm still impressed, man. Like, I really am, because I remember you and I were talking before the playoffs, and so many of us at MLB Network were wrong. We all said the Padres are going to beat them. It's their time. They're deeper. They're stronger. No. Give credit to LA. The Yankees were supposed to have an edge in starting pitching. Flaherty was really good in game one. Wasn't sharp last night. Yamamoto was great. Buehler was excellent and great in relief last night. Yep. Amazing. First relief appearance in 6 years. Good for Walker Buehler, who had looked like a diminished pitcher. He had one win in the regular season this year. Walker Buehler had an ERA north of 5, and he was great come playoff time. And that supposed edge the Yankees had in starting pitching never materialized. And their offense, as I said before, relentless is the word for it. Good for the Dodgers. This was a great World Series win for them. And again, let's get to Freddie Freeman. 6 straight games with a home run. Could have been 7 straight, except that, Aaron Judge robbed him. Overall, his numbers, 300, 4 homers, 12 RBI. Outstanding work from a guy who's always been a great player, consummate professional. And again, you want a Hollywood ending. What he overcame this season, the illness of his son, a lot of distractions off the field, but clearly a bum ankle. I mean, he was 1 for his last 16 going into the World Series, had missed games 4 and 6, and he steps up with a World Series for the ages. Good for Freddie Freeman.
It was awesome to see Freddie Freeman. He was going to be my next question, so I'm glad you touched on it first, because he's now homered, or had going into last night, in 6 straight World Series games. He had 4 homers, all there to really do major damage for the Dodgers. He was so special, and that just shows a roster as deep as theirs, where you can go and lose all of that pitching, but your relievers are as strong as they are, where Dave Roberts can push all the right buttons, where Ohtani can be hurt and struggle in the postseason, and Freddie Freeman could step up and have the type of World Series that he did. This was an incredible win for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And so finally, Adnan, I kind of want to take, because there were a million B storylines, right, that were available to you in this World Series. And I'm just going to highlight a few and ask you for the one that kind of, tickles your fancy, the one that makes you the happiest when I talk about it here. So we can mention one of the negative, Ohtani's struggles. Then Juan Soto potentially ending his career with the New York Yankees. Jazz just simply being like the coolest player who's ever lived. Blake Trinan's performance in last night's game, because that was unbelievable. Walker Buehler, who you've already mentioned, he becomes the first pitcher to allow 5 base runners or fewer in 5 innings in 3 separate starts in the World Series ever, and he's done it in his only 3 starts. He also closes out the final game of the World Series. You got the Anthony Volpe game, even though ultimately it doesn't matter. He becomes the only player ever to hit a go-ahead grand slam in an elimination game. And then there was that Aaron Judge catch that was pretty unbelievable on top of having a home run. What is the one you want to focus on here, Adnan?
Love all the B stories, Jeremy. The subplot, my runner-up choice would be the Juan Soto. Again, he had an outstanding postseason. Yankees fans will never forget that home run that catapulted them to their first World Series since 2009. And again, last night, wasn't able to come through in his last at-bat, had a base hit and 3 walks. I mean, he was on base 4 times in a game in which the Yankees had to win. So show him the money and give him $600 million, and let's get this taken care of if you're a Yankees fan. But of all the stories you mentioned, I want to talk about Blake Trinan. I thought it was unbelievable last night. He was incredible, and he had an amazing run this playoff. And you're right, Dave Roberts gets a lot of credit. He's a good manager who was smart in that he would punt on certain games. He would go, you know what, fine. I'm not going to use my high-leverage guys in Game 4. Bring on Brent Honeywell. He can eat up innings for us and get it done. Flaherty also, he let him wear it his previous start against the Mets, give up 8 runs because he wanted his high-leverage guys. And nobody was more special than Blake Trinan. That moment, I said, the Yankees are still in this thing. And the way that Trinan, first pitch, he got Stanton to swing. Stanton had obviously a great playoff run. That's not a swing you want to take that first pitch. Sometimes that ball might go out, but he easily retired him, then strikes out Rizzo. That slider was unbelievable. His cutter was working well. It was old Blake Trinan. He hadn't pitched in like 2 years. Like for him to come back like that, and it was really cool to see the way that Booney or Doc or whomever it was would use their high leverage guys in those moments. Like, I'm not waiting until the 9th. Like, we're going 7th inning. This is the game right now. Blake Trinan gets through it. And I was shocked that Dave Roberts pushed the pedal to the metal, and credit again to Joe Davis and John Smoltz. When he bounded out of the dugout and the Yankees had that moment, he goes, this is not I'm taking you out. This is a litmus test. That's exactly what it was. Dave Roberts went out there. You good? I'm good. I'm going to get Stanton. I'm going to get Rizzo. Almost 40 pitches in a moment like that. It's a moment a lot of people will be talking about. But that was what I was thinking in my head this morning. I said, wow, Yankees collapse and Blake Trinan, what a performance.
Unbelievable. You're right. Roberts just gives him a double pat right there on the chest. Like, all right, I trust you. You're good to go. And his belief in his relievers, the ability to push all the right buttons, it was a masterful playoffs from Dave Roberts. It really was. And it's a shame for Aaron Boone, who's going to get criticized on a couple of different moments. That's always going to happen when a team loses the World Series, because up until the World Series, he himself had a pretty flawless postseason. And now you can just question a couple of things. But an unbelievable World Series, an unbelievable season of Major League Baseball, Adnan. And you, sir, were our most consistent guest here on the Pitch Clock, our postseason MLB expert. Thank you so much, seriously, for blessing the Pitch Clock with your knowledge. I know I had a blast. I hope you did too. And again, thank you for joining us as many times as you have.
Well, Jeremy, I appreciate it, man. I think I was the most consistent and also lobbying to come on the Pitch Clock. I reserved my seat here a week in advance last year. I texted you and said, I'm in season finale. You cannot bump me. So
I love it.
With respect to Mike Schur and David Sampson, I was not only eager, but also available. So I appreciate you guys accommodating me. This was a blast, dude, honestly. The hell with Le Batard not talking about baseball on his show. I'm glad the Pitch Clock is here, and the Pitch Clock is a stay. Great job by you, sir.
Thank you, Adnan. The Pitch Clock is here to stay, no matter what the result of this game is going to be. So let's check out the final results of our game on the last episode of this season of the Pitch Clock. All right, so we're tied at the moment. Chris, you're up.
Chris, your name, Miguel Tejada.
Yankee.
Neither.
All right, next name, Taylor. Have a chance to take the lead.
David Justice.
David Justice played for both of those teams.
He was just a Yankee.
God damn. This is a good game. Man.
I had to go with an easier game when the past 2 games we've had Hank Bauer as an answer.
Taylor, we've got 6 names left, and we've got Chris Cote up for the next one.
Ichiro Suzuki.
Yankee.
It was just the Yankee.
Yeah,
that is correct.
Well
12 through 14. Jeremy. Jimmy Rollins.
My mind's
Neither.
Dodger.
No.
He was a Dodger.
Stop singing. I'm trying to get my answer out before you start saying, mother.
Chris, your name? Bobby Abreu.
Oh, that's not fair. I know the answer to this one.
I know that he was.
My mind's telling me none.
I know that he was a Yankee.
My mind's telling me one.
I'm just going to go with the Yankee.
Wrong.
He was both?
He was both.
Yes.
He played for the Dodgers in 2012.
Okay.
Like at the very end?
Yeah, that's the very end. Taylor, who's up?
David Wells.
David Wells was... this feels like a trick question, but I'm going to say David Wells was just a Yankee.
He was both.
I was going to say, if you put him on there and he was just a Yankee, it would have been one of the most unfair things Taylor's ever done.
This is Chris for the win.
Heartbreaking. Chris for the win.
Jeremy, shush.
Fred McGriff.
Dodger.
Damn it.
Just a Dodger.
He was just a Dodger.
My mind's telling me no.
I am heartbroken.
But my body.
Foreign lover Chris, always winning.
This is his wheelhouse. He has said that.
Born.
Well, this was the pitch clock. Thanks for watching.